All right, here's what we're going to do. Calvin Johnson. Not only came on the Ermanni Network show, by the way, last Friday. Go back and watch it if you haven't already. But he said he'll be there for Jameson Williams, and he'll be there to help. And you know what? The Lions have slowly but surely mended their relationship, with Calvin Johnson. I think we all appreciate it, number one. Number two, it's good to see. Just the semantics of it. It's a good look. It's a good look. But for Calvin to be so forward and so outspoken for Jameson Williams, we know the details now coming out on the suspension in a team hotel, like on a college game. It's as stupid as we think. I think there could be a positive out of this, and again, that's just maybe an optimist's human nature. Is you always look for a positive out of a bad situation. But I think the issue with what I'm about to say is you've never seen it with JMO, right? So it's not like I can say definitively after 6 games this year, he will walk in and tear up the league, right? That would be very bold of me, given I have no data to back it up, no prior track record, nothing in the NFL that would suggest he's going to walk in and go 6 for 115 and a touchdown the first 3-4 weeks consistently. It's not going to happen, right? Unlikely. But what I think will happen, and I'd love to know what you think of this, Jeff, I think Jameson Williams is going to have a huge chip on his shoulder. And I don't know how well it will serve him. But given the culture, given his surroundings in Detroit, I think it can really help him out. And now you have Calvin Johnson publicly supporting the kid. I think he's going to have a ton of confidence. And you know what? Come week 7, you might have a game-changing football player on your hands that, you know what? He probably would have gotten there anyways, but this might be that extra push to get him in the direction he needs to get.
And all the bad things the Lions as a franchise have went through, the great things are having Barry Sanders and Calvin Johnson a part of your franchise, arguably the two best at their position. So for Calvin to be in the picture for Jameson, I think it's very significant for a lot of different reasons. One of those being that Calvin, you look at Calvin as a professional, as a pro, and how he handled his business, there wasn't too much as better as Calvin. And how he handled it too, although he walked away from the game, he never complained. You always heard Calvin playing through injury. And again, that's something with JMO that people question now is his maturity. And I'm not going to say he's immature because he still has a long career left in the NFL. But you'd at least note that early in his career now being suspended and JMO liking a Lamar tweet, these little things that people question his maturity. And I think that's fair. But to have Calvin even willing to help JMO, I mean, you talk about JMO being a burner. Calvin won a 4.35 at his pro day, so the guy can run too. So you want Calvin, my favorite football player of all time, of course, to be there. At least lend an ear for JMO. I think it's amazing, and this is something that we kind of talked about with former players coming back with the Detroit Lions. You have Barry Sanders now, Jahmyr Gibbs. First running back drafted as high since Barry Sanders. Well, guess what? You still got Barry Sanders a part of your franchise. So not only just Calvin, but having these all-time greats back with the Lions, it's only going to benefit these players. So, of course, for JMO, just having Calvin, the guy, really the polar opposite of having any off-the-field issues or being a diva on the field, Calvin's the perfect role model for Jameson Williams. Perfect.
You want to surround him with the people that you believe can pull him in the right direction, or at least keep him out of the wrong direction and where he was at. And I think it adds to his credibility with Calvin just saying this. You know, he has them there. He has these resources. People have talked about how he has these resources, but it's not only him that's supporting him publicly, it's the entire team.
Right.
Every single time that this whole incident has been brought up, they have the ability to go and say, like, he screwed up and I'm pissed. Like, now we have to reevaluate what we're going to do for the first 6 games of the season. No, everyone is saying we're supporting him, we're behind him, surrounding him with the right people, giving him the resources to make the right decisions. And that's important for that culture and building that within the team.
Again, how much stock can you put in, I'm going to be there for you, buddy? Or, I'm going to make sure this kid, you can only take so much of it, right? And quantify it into results, but I think more than even Jameson, the fact that they're mending this relationship with Calvin alone, I think it means something. Does it mean they win more games? No. Does it mean the curse is broken? No, there's no fucking curse. Okay. Does it mean that the Lions are going to win a Super Bowl now? No, it means none of that.
Mm-hmm.
But what it means is your current front office leadership is in a much better place than it was when Calvin Johnson was playing. And he left on the note he did for a reason. And it wasn't ideal. And it wasn't the best way to leave. But damn it, you know what? He left. It is what it is. And the front office did what they did. It is what it is, and it happened. There's nothing I can do to change it. But I like to see these things.
But how many wide receivers in the NFL, besides if you play for the 49ers, have one of an all-time great ready to lend in year two? You know, that's a benefit for
It can
J-Mo.
only do so much. I'm a big believer in individuals.
Yeah,
like, I can give you the blueprint. I can tell you have to work hard and put your head down, and you got to commit to this and commit to that.
Things that
it's on you to do it.
Exactly, because Calvin can't run his route for him. But questions that J-Mo would have that maybe coaches would answer, you can go directly to Calvin to answer. Like, that's significant.
You'll learn some tricks. You'll learn some things to create extra separation. How to maybe tug or pull on a corner without getting caught. Sure, those little things, and they can make a big difference. Fine, but the problem with J-Mo is I haven't seen him on the field consistently getting snaps and having a huge impact on the game. Outside of his touchdown catch against Minnesota, and then a few runs, it's been underwhelming. And again, he's coming off an ACL injury. Everybody looked past the first year anyways. The suspension doesn't help him at all. But you know what? Maybe it does. And maybe it doesn't. And maybe it ruins him. I don't know. And that's the great thing about the NFL. It's the great thing about sports. You get to find out. You get to find out whether or not this will be the wake-up call, the reality check, the I need to become a professional moment that allows Jameson Williams to be one of the best receivers in the NFL, or just another guy that got drafted and, you know, we all forget him. Jalen Reagor, any of these first-round wide receivers. He could be that. And if he wants to be a Jamar Chase, a Justin Jefferson, a Tyreek Hill, he wants to have a first year like a Garrett Wilson did last year, got to be a professional. And I think it helps.
Oh, absolutely, it does. Now it's going to hurt not being there the first 6 games, but Calvin mentioning in this article I'm pretty sure we have an article on woodwardsports.com too, which you can go check out, just kind of detailing this whole story. But if you go to it, he mentions for a direct quote that Calvin used was he wants to help him build consistency and be able to. He says help him build a level of consistency in being the pro he wants to be. Anything I could do to help him, I'll do that and be there. Like. That's significant. So for J-Mo, I love this, but at the end of the day, you're right, Adam. It's up to J-Mo. If you want to be an all-time great wide receiver, an all-time great Lions legend, whatever that entails of, that's on J-Mo. And he's already putting in the work right now, so I'm excited to see him. And although he didn't have the consistency last year, you can't argue, if you want to bring up other wide receivers like a Jalen Reagor, Jameson has had higher moments, at least when he's touched the football.
He had a moment. Right.
Well, he had technically 2, 3.
The Packers, if you want to consider
that one
the one that got called back.
He had the 40-yard carry, and then he had a 40-yard pass for a touchdown. So hasn't had the consistency, but damn, you get him in a bigger sample size with that production, it's going to be exciting. It will be.
You know, now that we know the full picture, I think we can at least give Jameson Williams a public apology, maybe, if that's fair, at least from the majority of the fan base that did, absolutely chastise him. And I think, again, rightfully so, though. So can you really apologize? Given the information you had at the time, you were right to chastise the guy? So, no, they don't even need to apologize. But now can we at least bring the whole situation full circle? All right, we have the information. It seems a bit of a bogus rule.
Oh, yeah.
I think if you could appeal, you can't because of CBA. If you could, you probably could have gotten it to a game or 2 maybe. But it is what it is. It happened. But I think you're feeling a lot better knowing how it happened and the real story compared to originally thinking, oh, it happened in Allen Park or it happened on a team facility or something was going on. And then he went to Vegas. I think the day or the second day after, he released a public apology. I was like, oh, my goodness, are we losing the kid? What's going on? And then the real story comes out and say, oh, kind of got a raw deal. Stupid of him. Still stupid of him. He has to take responsibility, and he will. 6 games. Stupid. But that rule's kind of stupid too. And I look at the NFL and the Lions and say, did you do enough? Did you? And now, again, you can say, oh, every NFL team didn't have this issue. Sure.
But the Lions had more players suspended than any other team did
yes,
this
they
year.
did. And
that's a problem.
Again, that's why I said I'm looking at the Lions. But the team hotel?
Which, that's bogus.
It's odd. It's odd.
It's where we're at right now.
I think they could have done a better job. Again, I think Jameson Williams needs to accept it, which I'm sure he has already, and he has to own it and deal with it. But I think the Lions need to look themselves in the mirror.
Yeah.
They've been punished the most among any team in the NFL by this specific issue. And the Lions that I've known all my life, yes, they've been losers on the field, but off the field, they've been one of the better teams. So they got to figure out where the hole is and just address it.
And I don't see the NFL rescinding or changing the length of the ban.
No,
I don't
won't.
see that.
They're not allowed to anyways.
No, I could see people being optimistic, challenging the length of the suspension. I don't see that happening. I don't. Because in the NFL, that's them admitting they're wrong. I don't see it. Even though it's bogus, I don't see the NFL doing that.
All right. Let's take a break. When we get back, I have never been more confident in the Detroit Lions in my life.